Good.
All right, so then we'll call the Recreation Commission meeting on April 1st, 2025 to order at 7:04.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Jen, do you want to go out of order with this announcement that you have, or do you want to go in order?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Your call.
Oh no.
My announcement's not a shock. So I told Travis I will be stepping down from the Recreation Commission like in May. It's a year overdue. I think I've been telling people that for like 2 years that I'm going to do it. So I'm really, really going to do it. So I told him I've been volunteering and the chair or co-chair for the past 12 years and sometimes on like chairs on multiple committees. And I'm burnt out and I need a break. So I'm going to step down.
None of us are blaming you. Obviously, it is well overdue, but then that will mean me, Rachel, and Dawn have to be there for quorum. And I'm up for re-election in June, and I expect that may be challenged.
I don't think that they should challenge. Well, whole nother conversation there.
Okay, so we can hold that until after elections in April.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Well, you'll be missed. Can we throw you some sort of going away?
There you go.
Not going that far away, but I mean, 12 years is incredible.
I know. I was like, I started volunteering before I had my son, Sean.
That means I'm at 13, I guess.
I know. Yeah. Because I started on the Arts Council and then Kristen quickly sucked me into rec. So
we'll coordinate a going away function of some kind if that's okay. Well deserved. You'll be missed. All right. Now that we've got a little bit out of order, that's okay. Some general department updates. I know I want to keep the board up to date for some of the people that we're bringing on. We were very fortunate enough over the past about 2 weeks to find a track coach. That program was definitely very close to not being able to run because we couldn't find it.
I was surprised when I saw you were running it. I was like, awesome. They must have found someone.
Very, very pumped. So we had a young man, we had a handful of interviews. None of them panned out. And we were down to our last interview and we weren't sure if he was going to take it. He's a Northborough grad. He ran at Merrimack for a year. So D1. Olgamash. He is a very great young man. He's actually currently going to Merrimack, wrapping up his senior year, doing like 14 different part-time jobs, but stepped up, and we were very lucky to have him. Today was the first day, and then he only felt comfortable taking 25, and then we had a wait list of, I think, of 20. And Kristen, if you got to go, I get it. But Amanda Gleason actually stepped up and said, I'll help out. So we were able to take 10 more off the wait list. So we up to 35 with a wait. We still have a waiting list of 10, but very happy to report track is up and running and going strong. And so that's a very positive update for the department. I know that's a very important program for everybody. That's the big department update I have, and I'll go over some other agenda items and we'll go through the meeting. But the Christina offered me or provided me.
I just want to say that is really exciting.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you.
Yes.
It's just so important for the kids that whatever we've talked about before. It's just so important for the kids that don't do the team sports. And it's such an important feeder program into the high school. So thank you.
Oh, no worries. I'm very happy. I think I'd love to work with Gary from the middle school, the principal there, and Mike as well to try to come up with get it part of the interscholastic sports offering there. I think it makes a little more sense in that realm. But I think in the short term, we can come up with, I think even if it lands with us next year, maybe we can make it like a true track rec program where they're still doing track elements, but we can make it similar to what we did for the running program. But either way, very happy to make it happen. I know we were down to the last hour, but we were able to make it happen, which is great.
Awesome.
I'll go over some other program updates. I just like to keep the general updates in there, but Christina offered us some very good program updates. She's been working very hard. She's got a lot of new things happening, which is great. I know we talked about track, but RAP 5 registrations will open next week. Classes, this is our last session, May to June. That's been going very well. We still have a little bit of challenges at Neary, but she's been working hard and trying new things, which has been great. We've had a very good relationship with the Bolts, which is a soccer club that's been doing a very successful futsal program. Pickleball's going bonkers as usual. We just wrapped up our indoor. We just moved to outdoor. Christine actually was able to make a relationship with a stained glass vendor. So that class actually filled up, which has been fantastic. First time going through and it filled up. They had some very success in Northborough. Rec Connect's been going great. Spring events is planned. Pizza party on Friday night in Shrewsbury. April vacation field.
Sorry to interrupt for 1 sec. Rec Connect, how did the whole award?
Oh, I was going to hit on that. Yeah, they.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead.
It went amazing. We had about 400 rec professionals at and I probably should have talked about this at the general department update, but we had about 400 rec professionals in one room. And Laurel from Shrewsbury, she's the Shrewsbury Recreation Director, and she has a TR background, actually spoke on Northborough and South our behalf, and she did a tremendous job. We had a really good support system there, and it was a lot of fun to see, and it was good to get the whole team together, but very well received. And it was nice of Tim to nominate us, and it's good to get some recognition in our region as well.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's been going really well, and we're looking to build off that for next year. Obviously, that's a really good relationship. Anytime you can partner with another town, it's great. April vacation has been due to Christina knocking it out of the park again, no pun intended. We have 3 April vacation programs that are going. Tuesday, we're going to Apex. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is a SO Studio program. And Thursday, we're actually taking a group, I think about a 12 or 13 and maybe more, depending on who signs up, to a Red Sox game they have a camp day. They're doing a 1:30 start. So we're taking Southborough Rec is going to Fenway Park on Thursday of April vacation.
That's awesome.
So Christina's been crushing it, and we're kind of dipping our toe in the school vacation week program offerings, which is great.
I like the kind of like 1-day options, or like, like those field trip things. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All her, and she did it was really a great idea. And this is kind of dabbling in that to see how it goes. Usually one's like more successful in my experience in communities, like February is more successful than April, but I think we had kids cook during February, and this is a good way to try like load one-offs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the last program update Christina provided me is that we're doing our last coloring contest of the year. So if you have any aspiring artists, April 14th is the deadline. We'll have top five will get on Facebook and get prizes. So
Nice.
That is the fun program side that Christina on.
From what I saw, there was like, because I kind of thought my daughter, like, they're getting into like therapeutic coloring these days. So there was age groups that actually accommodated teenagers, right?
Yep.
That's awesome.
The older group, I think, I forget what the age cutoff was, but
I think it was like 10 or it doesn't matter. But
yeah, 10 to 12. And we definitely had seniors that did it for the winter one. It was awesome. We had like a 60-year-old that handed it in. It was all the way down to like 12 or 14. It was really cool to see the different ages and talents. They were all really, really good. Way back, I can barely stay in the lines.
Awesome.
So great program updates. Now going through that, anybody have any program questions besides anything I hit on? Nothing. All right. Good stuff. Now going down to old business, our favorite topic, Lundblad field update. I've been working, I know last meeting we said we wanted to compile some stuff. I've been working through my stuff and the stuff that Tim had. I've been compiling. I should be able to give you some sort of draft on I know I've only been here for a little less than a year. I don't know if you want to put it off till after town meeting, but I'm happy to collect and then hand it off. Where does everybody land?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm like, I guess because open town meeting stuff has got me thinking. But like, if whatever you had, if you wanted to share, we could do it as like a pre-read for next time.
Perfect.
And then we could bring any comments about like, like what else to add or whatever, so that we're compliant, right?
Great. I should have that to you by the end of the week.
Cool.
And I can put it in a shared drive and give it to everybody so everybody can see it.
Yep. Yeah. And then we'll just bring all the comments to the next meeting. Yep. I like it.
Awesome. I don't have any major updates for the field playground repair capital fund. DPW has been trying to work on some spring updates, but they haven't got to me. Fields actually opened up today. So they look like they're in decent shape. I know Andrew's been working hard at Petrie. Troutier needs a little work. We've shut down the 7-on-7 field at Choate. Andrew's gonna be working on that. So I don't really have any updates on the spring capital field fund.
Cool.
That's it. Kristen, do you? I know you got to step away, but do you want to give a quick 21 Highland Street update? Sorry, I get kids.
I think she's
do,
leaving for
but
that.
I need to pay attention to select board for 2 minutes. If you could,
Oh yeah,
We'll
no,
come back to you.
we'll
I'll
circle.
be right back. Sorry.
No worries.
Tricentennial. Is it okay with you? We'll step down. Troutier track accessibility update. So we actually applied with the EOED and got a $25,000 grant for tackling one of the 2021, I think, accessibility study the town did, self-assessment. So we're going to tackle, and this is a conjunction with the school and Keith Lavoie and Brian Fantoni, tackle some of the accessibility issues for the Troutier track, which is great. Primarily the gate and a little bit of a lip when you go in to the right, and then making the track accessible from the concrete walkway. So we're going to tackle a little bit of that. I just want to keep you guys up to date. We've working with Keith recommended Cornerstone. They're an architect firm that he's worked with on some accessibility stuff. We're getting design wrapped up hopefully soon. And then we're going to try to get going with vendors because we'd have a very tight window to do this by the end of June, actually, like work done, everything by the end of June with the.
Oh, gotcha. To spend those funds.
Yeah. So it's.
Cool. And then when we do these things, do you also just let that, whatever that ADA committee is, know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because I mean, like they asked for a lot of things in that study, and I know we told them we'd be slowly chipping away at it. So making sure that they know that, or even reaching out now, being like, "Hey, FYI, this is in flight. We can share the plan once we have it, whatever." To give them a chance to weigh in. Yeah.
No, that's a great call. I can send them the plan once we get it, and then I can CC you just so you know it got out.
Yeah. Awesome.
Knowing that they were heavily involved in the 21 self-assessment, I think it makes sense to loop with them.
Yep.
We can definitely do that. Anybody have any questions on that? Fair enough. I don't have the last ones are kind of old business that I'm going to keep on there because I know the Tricentennial Committee is going to be asking us about fireworks and summer nights, so I'll keep that on there, but I don't really have an update. I haven't had a meeting with them in a little while, and I don't have a Fayetteville parking update, unfortunately.
Okay.
That brings us to new business, which we talked about the first one with Jen. I know CPA is the next step on there. I put that kind of on there as a placeholder. Do we want to talk about anything? I know the deadline will be sneaking up on us with August as the deadline.
Yeah. I feel like we should figure out what we could put in for.
Yeah. I think I'd like a little bit more time, but I'd love to get some feedback from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, holding strong to that deadline. Yep, makes sense. There are definitely some accessibility park elements playground elements you can go with. Smaller items that we can add to playgrounds that would make them a little more accessible. Panel elements and stuff like that have had some success with CPC stuff.
Yeah.
But I can definitely bring that back for next meeting with some potential topic items. I know the turf is unfortunately artificial surface is not something that stinks.
I wonder if there's something over around like that Choate space around like the softball field there. Like, aren't the bleachers kind of like destroyed over there or things like that? I wonder if there's something there that we could maybe like invest a little bit in Choate, or that little complex there. or like installing some benches around it, or I don't know, things like that. They aren't huge ideas, but maybe there's some smaller things we could do to kind of make some of these spaces a little more inviting. Or
Yeah. I mean, you could potentially, if you wanted to go bigger, I know Splash Park would be a fun one. Accessible water elements that everybody loves. Adding that to
Yeah.
a program would be pretty neat. I think we just worked with DPW and facilities to replace some of the boards at the outdoor stage at Neary.
oh yeah,
That's definitely probably only got a year or two, but I know the school's in discussion. If you wanted to do a bigger outdoor venue for concerts or stuff like that,
Sure.
could be a potential one.
Also, just so you know, that bigger outdoor space for concerts, stuff like that. The Mass Cultural Council, like they do, like, so the Southborough one does have like a couple grand, but the state also holds funds and gives it out for bigger projects like that.
That's good to know.
So could definitely potentially, if you guys decide or the school decides something bigger there, I would go to the state grants. Could they do like, I mean, for example, Fayetteville Hall got like, I think a couple 100,000.
Wow.
I know that was when I was on the Arts Council. I know I wrote like a letter of recommendation, and they got their elevator paid for by Mass Cultural Council,
Oh, wow.
like a lot of money. So when you make investments in the town for like cultural locations, there is a whole nother pot of funding from the state that they grant. So yeah, that could potentially fund the entire thing. So
That's really cool. I will definitely connect with you before you depart on that.
Yeah. And they do, because I get all their emails, and they have them throughout the year. So, but usually like September is when you start applying for those, or they open up for applications usually. So,
Great.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, I'll firm up some ideas and then bring them to the next meeting for discussion. If anybody has any other ideas between now and whenever we have our next meeting, and hopefully May, feel free to send them our way.
Cool.
Next one's town meeting.
Next week.
My first Springtown meeting. So I know we're not a huge one, but I put it on there as kind of a discussion item with everybody. Anybody? I mean, you guys have all seasoned town meeting members. Anything? And I've read through the warrants. But anything to prepare for? Thoughts?
I actually haven't read the warrant yet.
Fair enough.
I've
don't-
like, yeah.
Sorry, I'm definitely doing double duty here because they're touching on some things I might have to chime in on. So I apologize.
That's okay.
I don't think there are any rec sensitive topics except for this. And I started putting it into the chat, and I'll just do it. I listened in last night to the Neary Financial Committee meeting, and I'll reserve comment on a lot of that. But during that meeting, and I don't fault her for this, Kathy was just trying to give a complete picture of the capital projects for the next several years. And she told the public last night that we're likely coming to town fall meeting or special fall town meeting about turf or Woodward. Have we confirmed that? Because I
No.
could see that setting an outcry. Like, I don't think it's the time to be telling the town something, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's so overwhelmed that I'm like, it's almost like sinking our project from the start. Like, we know it won't be approved in the fall, right? I'm guessing.
Well, I think the other big wrench is like CPC is off the table, or CPA funds are off the table.
So like, I don't think we should be saying we're gonna. It's kind of putting a negative. Well,
I guess I will say,
how
the
often have we
recognition-
been advised, don't bring a project forward when it's going to get denied hard, because now you're making your future iterations harder. I don't think it's time for us to say, oh, we're going to bring forward a turf project in the fall.
Yeah, I mean, like that hasn't come from us. So
right, but it's.
I mean, it has been on our capital plan in the outlook for a while now, but like.
But
there is so much work to do before that happens, and we need to, I mean, someone needs to get serious about wanting to fundraise for this thing. I think that's
Right.
my hesitation, is that somebody's got to really want to go fundraise for this. Because
I
I
just
think
think we,
because I don't think we're
Sorry.
bringing the full ticket item to like the taxpayers.
No.
So
And I
and
mean,
again, sorry, I'm doing a bad job managing between both, but I really think that we need to just settle with capital and say we're not proposing it for this fall, because
so where
it makes it sound ridiculous when we're discussing all these other projects. It's almost putting a negative light, such a negative light on it. Like, how dare we ask for that in light of these other major asks? I'd just like to take it off the table, kind of, for now.
yeah, so where Travis and I left it with like
Yeah.
Kathy, Travis, Andrew, was that we need to get through town meeting and special town meeting and figure out what's up with the school. And then we had to, like, we were sorting out CPC, and then we need to figure out when it was the right time to bring this forward. So that's where like the commission's at. We have not made any commitment to bring it to anything.
Oh, wait, 21 Highlands coming up. I have to mute.
All right.
okay, yeah, the leg with cutting the CPC out. I mean, you kind of broke it up into thirds, which made it a lot more manageable. Like if we bought out a third, fundraised a third, and went to the CPC for a third, but once you cut that out, it makes it a lot harder to grasp.
Mhm.
Uh, And I know the Fay and the St. Mark's has come up again, and obviously this is the first time going around for me. But that's definitely a tricky relationship to manage when going down the Capital Turf route.
Yeah, and it just, I mean, this all comes back to, if we're going to invest in turf in town, what's the best location? And quite frankly, it has to have lights.
Yeah.
So I think that's where like it gets complicated with the Fay conversation, but
Totally agree.
we wanted to get through special town meeting and the ballot vote to figure out what's happening with the schools and tax base before we did anything else with this. So
Agreed.
Yep.
Perfect. The only thing, the max for the revolving fund, I think, was left at 500. If you guys are okay with that, and I think we had the $25,000 for the capital for park maintenance and playground maintenance. It was left in there too, so
okay.
there shouldn't be any surprises, and we're a pretty level funded budget. So
Yeah, and I think like the 500, I just wanted to make sure that you're still okay, because as the program grows and grows, like that's your cash flow cap.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I think we can always go to the select board if we need to go, and I think we're at
Okay.
right now 200 grand left to get us through the end of the year. Should be okay.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, it's like the summer camp that throws the rent, like, like
yeah, and
yeah. Okay.
payroll, for example, if you spend if 500 and you spend 150 to 200,000 as payroll, and 2/3 of that or half of that is those 2 months.
Yes, exactly. So, okay. Well, as long as, yeah, and normally like every time we've raised it, usually that's a conversation with Brian and he's helped decide what it should be. So if he's
Perfect.
fine with it, then we should be fine.
Great. We don't need to talk about the field closure discussion. So we were approached, some context, we were approached to possibly close the fields for that May 10th town meeting. And we were given the option to work with the youth groups to come up with a compromise. So we've asked youth sports groups to push back town games in the morning on Saturday, and then travel games, which they get the schedule from the league from. They're going to have those games as scheduled, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Don?
So say that again. Sorry.
So we've been working with Eric. So basically, you're in town, like little in town league games,
Yeah.
little guys that you guys have in Erie, stuff like that.
Right.
That's going to get pushed back a little later. I think he said between 11 and 12.
Oh, okay.
But the travel games that you guys get handed down from your league that you really don't have any flexibility with, those are okay to have at the normal time, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whenever you have them scheduled.
Okay. Good.
So I think the town had wanted us to close all fields for that day, and they gave us the option to work with the youth groups to come up with a compromise, which was nice of them.
All right. That's good.
The hope is that if there aren't sports going on, you'll go to the special town meeting instead. So,
Just gonna go, I'm just gonna go vote.
You can do that too.
Exactly.
Yep.
Text me when it's time to show up to vote.
This is an interesting one that I wanted to get the board's feedback on. So we just got the 25-26 school calendar for next year. There are a whole lot of religious holidays on the school calendar, which is fantastic. I'm happy that they've kind of it's diverse, and they're giving all the Jewish holidays and some other holidays in there, which is awesome. But I want to make sure we're being sensitive to that. In Natick, for example, we did all the Jewish holidays off, but we wouldn't do programming to be sensitive to that, because you don't want to do recreational programs on holidays. But there are a lot of them. Diwali was one. So
Yeah, it's free.
yeah. So it's do you do programming on those days to help parents out? But then if you do programming, it can come off as a little insensitive. So I just make sure we're being sensitive to that as well. We don't need to make a choice today by any means, but we just got it, I think, last week, and I wanted to throw it on there for discussion.
I mean, I'm comfortable putting in an initial position out there. I think as long as there may be parents in need, I think we're not a
Yeah.
religious affiliated organization. If there are parents in need of childcare or recreation, then I think we should offer it.
Cool.
I
Is
mean,
it-
like, yeah, my sense is like, I mean, if we offer it across all of them, right? It's kind of like unbiased. It's like, look, there's an alternative, right?
Good feedback.
Yeah, I didn't know the calendar was out with more.
There was a whole thing because originally Northborough had approved the holidays and Southborough was a deadlock. And then they had to rehab the Southborough meeting when they had the full 5 members to get it over the line.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it was really late. I think we just got it a few weeks ago or a week ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say normally it is done really, really early.
They
Okay.
voted on it, like, but I think like there's a different mission statement, right? In terms of schools and rec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rec, it's different, right?
Well, I
We're
thought you
not-
even saw I think you even saw the school looking to work on how they could provide or partner with some of the other groups to provide extended day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, I think a good example is April break starts on, is that Good Friday before Easter?
Yeah.
And the school's extended day program is offering camp that day.
Yeah, good point. That's really
So
good.
like the school's having a holiday and they are also offering extended day camp. So I think maybe there's some precedent there they're setting for us to follow.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good stuff. Thank you for the feedback. Kristen, do you want to jump back to 21 Highland? Not to put you on the spot.
Yes, and I'm sorry, that's why I had to jump off there. We were on the agenda, Freddie got sick. I wasn't going to be able to, well, I was going to be able to be there to speak to the report because I did draft it, but our interim report that was due and end of year. And they couldn't delay us, but I wanted to be on just in case, it did come up because it was on the agenda, and it did. In short, I think I shared the interim report with you guys last time, and so that's kind of what it is. I wasn't sure what questions the select board would have in the interim report. They have pushed it to the next select board meeting, but I did just ask them, well, what questions do you have so we can prepare in advance? And Andrew had brought up again the timelines that we're meeting between now and June, because obviously all of the decisions at the town meetings have a cascading impact on making decisions about 21 Highland. I just left it that as a committee, we're pretty confident in the next stages of our project, which is moving from current state analysis into now working with the community on possible alternatives for use of 21 Highland. I know a lot of people think this is pointless, and I get it until we know what's going on with the town, but we want to be prepared because we know that the town has made moves in the past to sell the building. So we just want to make sure that we are understanding alternatives and community input as soon as possible. So we will be presenting to the committee now on our interim report, which is available on the 21 Highland Street Committee website, as well as other relevant reports around 21 Highland Street. And we'll now be presenting to the board on the 15th. Again, I don't expect that to be a terribly exciting update in that we have until June, the end of June, for our final report. And again, a lot of the things we're planning really fall in line with outputs from the town meetings. So, Travis, I know we had asked you for some information, so I think you and I should arrange a time to meet, and Jen or whomever, to review, the output of what you guys have found. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else to update the committee on.
Yeah, let me know if you need more info. Happy to give it to you and take a deeper dive.
Yeah, I think what I should just, you and I can figure out a time. I'll stop by in the next week or two and we can, talk through the info. And we're talking to small businesses in the area. Like again, we're starting into that feedback stage on all the potential uses. And again, we all know nothing's going to be or should be decided until we know the fate of these bigger projects. But we just want to have all that information and facts prepared for when and if we do reach a time to make a decision versus being proactive versus reactive.
Makes total sense. Thank you for the update.
Welcome.
Yeah. The next thing that I have on there is a interesting one. So I emailed everybody the signage we have at Trottier. I wasn't sure if there's like a universal park rules language for sign stuff that we've gone through, or historically Tim's just thrown it up. I know this winter a gentleman very nicely snowblowed the track. Was nice of him to do, but God forbid, the snowblower ran a little lower and then tore up the track. A nice young lady emailed saying that people were bike riding. So I can come up with a more universal language for signage. Right now, it's kind of a little bit of NASCAR at Trottier, for example. I think there's like 3 or 4 different signs, which is fine. Wasn't sure historically how it's been done.
I think our signage had been lacking. I think this the newer signs that have like the rules listed out was more of the stuff like Tim was starting to put up around there.
Yeah.
Which I like that there's rules there, but on like nobody reads them.
Yeah.
I kind of like the sign that says like no dog on the track, like no strollers on the track, like because people aren't actually reading the rules.
Yeah.
So I'm almost wondering, like, I mean, like, I think they're nice to have there and they should be there, but then maybe the ones that are like, like literally the dog with the X through it, or like a stroller with an X through it. Like we need to like visually be like, please, like, don't do this.
Yeah. I was thinking the exact same thing. The green sign that you guys saw in that picture, the one with like the 12, no one reads that. Like it just because it's so little. I was thinking like maybe pick 4 or 5 like rules out that are big and make like a 4-foot big sign and do the circles corner with it.
What about I think this is a long controversial one that annoys me because I know that they should not be there, are the camping chairs. Because at 9/11, everyone sets up the camping chairs on the track. And as far as I know, when we were doing the project, that's a big no-no. But we don't have any signage.
You mean at Trottier?
Yeah.
And 9/11.
We don't. You mean on the turf?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I've never heard the not on the turf part.
I've gone to some communities for lacrosse where they do not permit you to have pull out like the foldable lawn chairs on the turf because you can gouge the turf.
Okay.
And I've been in other communities where they're a little bit lax with it. But Kristen's right, and the letter of the law is no lawn chairs on turf. But yeah, we can.
I have an interesting
it's a hard one because like 9/11, like, so then they sit in the parking lot. and because of the height of the fence,
Yeah.
like the height of the fence, you'd be looking right at the railing. You can't see the play. It's a weird field to tell them they can't. I mean, like I do know the refs yell at everyone on the sidelines and shove you right up against the fence when you're in on the turf anyways. The ref does lecture everyone because there's just no edge on that field.
No.
Yeah.
Mm.
I can work on some signage. I just wasn't sure historically if that was something that was approved by the commission or if Tim just rolled it out. But
I think we like talked loosely about
Yeah.
it, you know, nothing specific. I would say to Jen, to your point, it's probably more of an urgent issue at Woodward not to have them on the track. So I would prioritize
to not
like
have one.
at Trotter, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yes.
not to have.
No, I agree because they're gonna dig up the track and that is expensive and that impacts the play.
Yeah.
Versus like 9/11, it's like okay, but it's like the edge of the turf. Like it's not gonna hurt play.
Not our primary concern. Got it.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic, I'm not even sure well, actually, I do know the ask. We had an unusual incident. Well, for me, it was unusual, but then talking to a few other coaches there, not as unusual at 9/11 tonight. So we had our first soccer practice at 6. Ours was, 4:30 to 6. And then girls and boys lacrosse was coming on right after us. During our practice, I had thought, so if you picture I'm on the parking lot side and I'm looking across kind of at center field on the sideline, but on the field, I was seeing this like lump of stuff. I'm like, oh, is that equipment? Is that whatever? And then when I went to go pick up some cones, I'm like, oh, those are 2 people. Like, and there was 2 like people just on top of each other, obviously under the influence of something. And there was kids playing on one side of the field. We were playing on the other. So I approached them. I'm like, you need to get off this field. You know, like there's kids playing down there. There's kids playing down here. We're about to start using the whole field. Like you can't be here. And they were clearly not coherent. They pointed to the bench that had like flipped over, I'm sure, because of the wind. They're like, well, but that bench flipped over. I'm like, well, that doesn't make a difference. Like you can't be on this field at this time. So they slowly eventually got up and then just moved over into their car. And so then when lacrosse coaches came over, I'm like, hey, just FYI, keep your eye, you know, kind of over there. But in talking to a couple coaches that were there, they're like, oh, that's not the first time we've seen something like that at this field, like people in cars doing suspicious things, whatever, completely out of our control. But I wondered what you guys would think about while we're in season, if the Southborough Police would consider just doing one drive-by at like 5:30.
Clearing it out.
You know, like, because that's kind of right in between the practices, because practices generally are starting at 4:30, and with the sun coming up, they're generally probably going to go through, you know, 7:30. So 5:30 seems like that time to just kind of like send a police presence and remind people that they're there. Because I guess like this was the first time I personally directly encountered it. I mean, we've had people on the fields before and whatever, you know, they usually clear out when we get there. But this was a couple laying in the turf field who clearly were not of the right mind. And I wasn't 100% comfortable going up to them being like, hey, get off. But I'm like, you know, let's not, you know, I did. So it's new to me, but I guess it wasn't new to other coaches. So it seems to me the thing would be like, hey, would the police be willing to just once a day do like a between 5 and 6 just drive through, literally, you know, just to make it not seem like a place to do that type of thing.
Yeah, we can definitely talk to the police department about that. I don't want to speak for them, but I'm sure we can make at least a couple days happen just to make sure they know there's a little bit of a presence. Because it's definitely tough, that field.
Or it's also something like, I think it could be something where like, I don't know, if soccer or lacrosse is running into that, like, honestly, they should just call the police.
Yeah.
And
You know,
I almost
Like that's what I
was
would do.
so close to
you know?
that when they got in their car, because the next thing that went in my mind was like, I don't want these people driving now in my
Yeah.
community. You know, it's like, great,
Yep.
they got off the field. Now and they didn't happen to drive away, but at some point they're going to,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, that's not good. So I
Yeah.
did think about it, but it was our very first practice. And I was like, you know,
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, Jen
um,
got a good point. We used to have in Natick, we've had non-permitted groups that wouldn't get off the field, and anytime there was some issues or confrontations, we told coaches don't even
Yeah. Don't even do it. Just
don't
call
even
the
do
police.
it. Just call the police.
yeah,
Oh, anytime that happens, yeah, call the police.
Yeah.
But I can definitely circle back with them and ask. That's a good point, Kristen.
thank you.
No problem. Thank you for sharing. Now the last two items I have aren't huge ones. We wrapped up the SYBA South Euro Youth Basketball season. Went pretty well. They had a lot of teams advance. Really good relationship with the school department, the custodial staff, and youth basketball. So we made it through a successful season with them. Now moving on to the spring, so that's been great. And last but not least is a little bit of not so great news. The AEDs that we put out last year that we pulled back in the winter, we just had those refurbished. And unfortunately, the universal cases that we had put out were not. They were meant, I think, for indoor use, not outdoor use.
Shit.
So unfortunately, the warranty that we have are not water, doesn't cover water. I pushed. So we did lose one of them, possibly two. So we're going to work with the placement, and I did buy some new weatherproof cases. And to be honest with you, if I saw a universal case, I would think like universal, you're okay.
Yeah.
I had to confirm it with the AED company, that Stryker that we had used for the install of the others. So we are going to kind of get finicky, not a little creative with the placement. So they're going to be at every one of the facilities, Woodward, Neary, but we might try to consolidate a little bit as best we can. And I think we might try to look into replacing them maybe in the next year or two to get them to make up for the one that we lost. But I just want to keep everybody in the loop. They are out right now. I should get the cases by next week, and then we'll post something on social. So just want to keep everybody a date with the AEDs.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
All right.
I would have thought they were waterproof.
Honestly, when I show them the pictures and when I saw, I would have probably done the same thing. Like Universal, okay. You had to read the fine print to see for indoor use, and it's just like, because they're just like plastic. But we were actually at the state conference last week, and they had some weatherproof ones there, and they are a little more intense. And they actually, maybe down the line, they're a little more expensive. You can get the ones that are on the network that notify you when they go offline, or they were used. You get some sort of alert so they can alert the police department or fire department. Because right now the ones that we do have do not alert anyone, or there's no kind of notification when they do go offline. So it's just a good thing to have, but they are more expensive.
Learning process.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff. That's all I got. And then I know we have the meeting minutes from the 4th, or March 4th.
Gotcha. Okay, I can make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from March 4th, 2025.
Second.
All right, so roll call vote. Hanson, yes.
O'Day, yes.
Well, yes.
Dumont, yes.
All right. All right, so then maybe scheduling the next meeting. We've got,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
Just Jen, in anticipation of your May
Mhm.
departure, which of course is well earned.
Mhm.
Dawn and Rachel, just your thoughts I'm just trying to foresee what we might be dealing with, like your thoughts on staying with the committee.
Oh, I would hop off in a second.
When's your term up?
I do appreciate your honesty.
I think I have another year.
Yeah, I will stay to finish the term. I'm here. I just don't, have a ton of time. I have like children coming up to me right now. But
Do you know
You
how
know.
much time you have left in your year?
I think I thought I just renewed mine somewhat.
Don't worry about looking it up now. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm just,
I thought I did it pretty recently. So
I'm just, yeah, I'm just trying to get a picture. Okay.
We did have a good meeting with we are hopefully maybe going to be launching NFL flag in the fall, and we have two gentlemen that local residents that want to run the flag football league for us, Sean Conley and Brian, and I'm trying on Brian's last name, and one of them expressed interest in the commission spot, and Christina is working with them. So we have leads, and to be honest with you, we could do internally, myself and Christina probably could do a better job starting to market that.
I know Sean Conley. I could nudge him in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely maybe leveraging the NFL flag as hey,
Mhm.
you're part of the commission.
Yeah, he'd be an awesome addition.
They're two great guys, and but I think Brian's expressed interest in it, so
Mhm.
I think we can start pushing that too a little more as well.
And just to put it out
And then we
there,
wanted to get someone potentially from can we advertise at Senior Center?
senior citizen, yeah.
Yeah. Like start diversifying our group again. Because Bill's been off of it for 2 years now, so we haven't had representation.
I think he was off before COVID. No, I mean it's been a while.
Who is Bill? Is he?
He was an older gentleman who was ex. What was he like? I don't know. He was in the industry, whether it was landscaping or the
Landscaping. I think you're right.
yeah, he knew all the engineering stuff. It was awesome. He was retired out of that, running that kind of business. So.
Oh.
But he moved out of town, which is why we lost him. But yeah, we should advertise at Senior Center.
What was his name? Bill.
Bill.
Gotcha. There was a older gentleman that worked for New England Rec Group who is our installer that did Fayetteville and I think Townhouse Playground.
Oh yes.
He's one of the sales guys there, and he said he lived in town. But I think that'd be.
Oh.
I was like,
That'd be a little bit of conflict of interest. Yeah.
Now that we're talking through this, I'm like, yeah, that probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
All right.
Next meet. I know. Do you want to meet after town meeting? I know it's May 10th. So do you want to?
Probably, right?
yeah. My phone died.
Tuesday the 13th.
I'm traveling that week.
Okay. 20th.
Why? It's no problem.
I can do the 20th.
I can do the 20th.
All right, let's sit then.
I'm sorry. April 20th?
May.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I meant after special. I want Neary decided, right? That's right. I was after a special town meeting in May.
Jen, is that going to be your last one?
I feel like that's a little late.
Okay.
I almost just want, there's a lot changing, right? Well, like I just told you, for example, they're presenting part of the capital plan. I almost feel like I'm not comfortable that the turf is being presented as another capital project to consider, because I feel like when people are like, oh, we'll cut that with it, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of politics I do think we're being involved in with that turf field being put out there. So I would be comfortable having a meeting in between the town meeting and the special town meeting, just in case we have to react to anything.
Okay. We can always pick a date and hold it. And if we don't need it, we don't have to meet,
Right.
right? I think the thought was once we know it's if Neary goes through, that impacts our decision on turf. If it doesn't go through, it might open a window to kind of move it faster. But yeah.
I would I wouldn't mind a tentative placeholder
Okay.
in case, because we just have no idea what's going to happen right in the next month, and then
So
we can
then,
cancel it.
like after school vacation, like April
Yeah.
29th.
Yeah, that works for me.
And actually, I say that, and that date actually doesn't work for me. I have an event at work that night.
28th.
I could do Monday the 28th.
Yeah, I'm free the 28th.
Yeah, I could do that date if that works for folks to hold.
Yeah.
If we want to have some dialogue, and if it is Jen's last meeting, if we do meet on the 20th, could we meet in? Would people be opposed to meeting in person just to say our farewells and talk about some stuff?
Yeah. Yes.
We can meet in person.
Cool.
Cool. So 29th is a placeholder, and then May 20th as an in-person.
28th is a placeholder.
28th.
Yeah. Okay. And then the 20th. Just writing these down. Cool.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn at 7:56 p.m.
Do we need to just, did we already approve the
sorry.
minutes? Oh, we did approve the minutes.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, we did.
I second the motion then.
All right. So roll call vote. Hanson, yes.
O'Day, yes.
Laval, yes.
Dumont, yes.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye, you
Bye.
guys.
All right. Bye.